The true impact to the low income. I have some shocking information I want to share with you in this video and what they're not telling us. Let's get right into it. But if you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right down below the video. Information continues to change very, very rapidly right now. As my dedication and commitment to you and this community, I'm watching it all closely and breaking it all down into these short videos so that you can get the latest details hot off the wire each and every day as this information is being released. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's jump right into the update. Alright, so I do want to walk through some new information that was recently released showing the true impact to the low income with everything going on right here, right now. So with that being said, let's jump right into this. One quick side note here, if you happen to see that video from a few hours ago earlier today, I did say that I'd be coming back in this video talking about some new information I found about Social Security. However, I'm still doing some cross-referencing on that information because, as I always say, my dedication is to bring you honest, accurate, reliable, and transparent information, and I want to dig into it a little bit deeper before I bring you that information, so stand by. I'll probably have that for you probably tomorrow sometime in one of the videos. However, I want to talk about a separate report for you in this video right here showing the true impact to the low income, because I do know that a lot of you here in this community are low income and a lot of you are living on a fixed income like Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, RRB. And again, low income, no income, seniors, elderly, people with disabilities. Hey, I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Let's talk through all of this because a lot of times I think all of us recognize they don't exactly tell us the truth as far as everything that is truly going on right now and how the low income / the fixed income are really being impacted with everything. However, if you've been watching the videos for any length of time now, you know that we've talked about inflation a number of different times here on the channel, probably over the last 10 or so months now. We've been talking about inflation. Why? Is it because we want to focus on inflation? Well, not really, but rather we need to focus on inflation. We need to talk about it simply because it is impacting literally everybody right now, especially the low income. However, I do want to talk about this report here. So a Gallup survey that was actually released in the end of 2021 is showing us some pretty surprising numbers here. I want to walk through these. So, as we all know, the low income and the fixed income are really being hit as a result of all this massive inflation. However, those are kind of some ambiguous statements, right? Well, let's give us some actual factual information and statistics and percentages behind how the low income and fixed income are actually facing all of this inflation right now going on. So, as of the end of 2021, 45.5% of Americans were actually, and again, this is all Americans across all income spectrums. You could talk about somebody earning $10,000 a year, $100,000 a year, or $500,000 a year. This is across all Americans. 45.5% of Americans were saying that they were actually experiencing severe to moderate hardship as a result of inflation. So nearly, basically 1 in every 2 people walking around out there were experiencing this. Now, not quite 1 in every 2 people, but essentially 45.5%, basically half of the people out there, right? Pretty close. However, as we dig into it a little bit deeper here and we break it down by income, we actually see that the low income are really struggling. So let me show you these numbers here. So here's what it comes down to. Those individuals with an income under $40,000, a rate of 70.7% of those individuals with an income under $70,000 were experiencing severe or moderate hardship as a result of inflation. That's a huge jump. Remember the first number that I showed you? 45.5% of all Americans across all income spectrums. However, as we looked at it, anybody with an income under $40,000, 70.7% of people were experiencing severe to moderate hardship. So again, that's a huge jump right there, just as we look at it for those people under $40,000 of income, which, one quick side note here. When I talk about income, that's income from anything. It could be income from working full-time. It could be part-time. It could be from Social Security retirement or SSDI benefits. It could be SSI or VA or survivors benefits. It could be RRB. It doesn't matter. Income is essentially money coming into your bank account from whatever means it happens to be. Full-time job, fixed income benefits, part-time job, it does not matter. Income is just basically money coming into your possession from whatever it happens to be, whatever it means it comes from. So if your income is under 40 grand a year, you might be falling into this category of the 70.7% of people saying, yep, I'm certainly dealing with massive hardship, severe hardship, or moderate hardship as a result of this inflation. But remember, like I said, this was actually a Gallup survey that was released in the end of 2021. Well, guess what? We're already a few months into 2022, and inflation is significantly higher today than what it was at the end of 2021. So I'd be willing to bet that if they actually ran this survey once again here, we'd probably be seeing these percentages significantly higher as of recently, as of like current times right here, right now, versus what we were experiencing, 3.5 months ago at the end of 2021. So anyway, let's keep running through these numbers because they continue to get more interesting. So anybody has an income, basically $40,000 up to $100,000, they were experiencing 46.5% of those people were experiencing severe or moderate hardship as a result of inflation. So again, nearly half the people with an income of basically $40,000 up to $100,000 were still experiencing severe to moderate hardship. Now here's what also is interesting. Those people with an income over $100,000, 28.3% of those people were experiencing severe to moderate hardship as a result of massive inflation. So these are some pretty big numbers here, right? Especially even those people with an income over $100,000, basically a third of them. Well, you could call it either a third or a quarter. Basically, the number's right in the middle of those numbers. But you could basically call it essentially a quarter of the people. So 1 out of every 4 people are walking around out there, even with an income in the 6 figures, are still experiencing severe to moderate hardship as a result of inflation. So as you can see here, inflation is not a good thing. Now here's why. The report went on to say that inflation basically directly impacts the low income and the fixed income the most because all of the necessities that the low income and the fixed income actually buy on a regular basis and experience are very volatile things, like rents, for example. This is actually something that was mentioned in the report. A lot of low income and fixed income people pay rent, right? So we rent the places that we live in versus a mortgage. As a result of that, rents do fluctuate probably pretty substantially, and rent prices are somewhat volatile versus maybe paying on a mortgage, something like that. A lot of times a fixed rate mortgage, it doesn't really change, right? Maybe with the exception of maybe insurance rates or maybe property taxes, things like that. That may adjust your payment maybe a little teeny tiny bit, but for the most part, your payment is essentially relatively the same each and every month. It might adjust a little bit each and every year, but for the most part, it's probably not going to adjust much. But rather, a fixed rate mortgage, you're pretty much good to go. But with rents, if you sign a 1-year lease or maybe a 6-month lease, something like that, when that lease comes up for renewal, you could be looking at a massive jump on your rent once again, right? So that was just one of the examples that they were laying out in this report. So we've talked about this so many different times here on the channel, but again, I like to bring you actual factual information from reports and surveys and things like this, especially a Gallup survey. Let's be real. Who hasn't heard of a Gallup survey, right? I mean, they're pretty popular and it's a pretty reputable survey out there. So that's something that I wanted to share with you in this video. And again, I'd be very interested to find this exact same survey in today, like the most updated report on this, because this one is like 3 months old now. But again, it's still circling out there right now and showing us that, yep, sure thing, even 3 months ago, at the end of 2021, when inflation was even a few percentage points lower than where it currently is right now, there were these percentages of people still struggling. Well, I'd be willing to bet that these numbers are probably significantly higher than what we're actually seeing right here in these reports right now. So anyway, I like to share this stuff with you. However, where does this all lead, and what does this actually tend to do for all these low-income people? Here's what I want to say about this. We mentioned this before, and we've talked about this a few times here on the channel. I feel like all roads lead back to the statements and the actual petition that the Senior Citizens League was gathering a few months ago as well, calling on a one-time 4th stimulus check in the amount of $1,400, specifically focused on the low-income and the fixed-income individuals who are ultimately feeling the biggest brunt of all of this inflation. Are those people living on a fixed income, like I've said before, Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, SSI, all of these individuals. So when it comes to the Senior Citizens League, I feel like they're certainly onto something right now. However, here's the one thing that I would say and I would push back on. Senior Citizens League, hey, if you happen to be watching this, I totally agree with you, and I could not support you any more than I already am with all this stuff. And honestly, I want to continue doing whatever I possibly can to support these ideas, the petitions, the signatures, everything that you're doing, reaching out to Congress, helping them, and pretty much just urging them to actually support another stimulus check for all these fixed income beneficiaries. But here's what I'd say. It's got to be $2,000. At this point, $1,400, yeah, it sounded nice, 6 months ago in September and October of last year when we were originally talking about all this stuff, inflation was significantly lower. However, things have changed in a big, big way. $1,400, unfortunately, is not going to go too far these days anymore, but rather we need to be looking at $2,000, possibly even more, or here's what's even better, and we've discussed this here on the channel. A one-time massive payment, right? So a big lump sum payment, $1,400, $2,000, something like that. We need to get a payment like that, and then an ongoing payment, maybe $200, $250, $300, maybe $400 ongoing for maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe through the end of 2022, whatever it takes to get beyond this massive surge of inflation. And here's the thing, we've talked about this in separate reports as well. If they highly focus these payments, a one-time fourth stimulus check and the ongoing the ongoing monthly payments of maybe $200, $250, $300, maybe $400 a month, if they make it highly focused on those people who need it the most right now, it would have minimal inflationary impacts. Unless they actually send it out to 167 million people like they did last time, well, yeah, that's going to lead to massive inflation. They don't need to do that. They need to focus it on maybe 40, maybe 50 million people at the absolute most. Probably not even that many people, realistically. As we talked about just the other day in a separate report, 48 million people are living in poverty right here in the United States. Well, I don't know, that'd be a great place to start. Maybe peel off the 48 million people that are living in poverty and focus the payments on those people, right? It probably would have some inflationary impacts, but it probably would not be nearly as severe as what we're actually dealing with right here today as a result of the last $1.9 trillion that was pumped into the economy and just kind of basically went out the door. However, if they highly focus these payments, maybe a $1,400 check, a $2,000 check, and then ongoing payments in the amount of $200, $250, $300, $400, something like that, to maybe 48 million people, yeah, it might raise inflation a little bit, but for the most part, it's not going to be nearly as severe as what we were dealing with as a result of all of these trillions of dollars floating out there right now. So anyway, Congress knows all this. They know that they could thread the needle on this thing. They could help out a lot of people right now, tens of millions of people that are living in poverty and really struggling right now. They could thread the needle on this thing and they could do a lot of good with realistically not even that much money. $100 billion, maybe a little bit more than that, and they could do a world of good for a lot of people right here in the United States and help out those people that are struggling so incredibly badly. Anyway, just some more thoughts here, but again, I wanted to share this other survey with you, this other Gallup survey that I talked through the details on this thing. Some pretty interesting information, but again, I know we've been talking about inflation a lot here on the channel. I know we've been talking about the low income and the fixed income really struggling as a result of all this, but I like to give you factual information behind all this. I like to give you percentages, and I like to give you information to back it all up as well. Feel free to look it up if you'd like to read about this yourself, but again, I gave you all the details right here in this video. A lot of interesting things out there, but again, we talk about these reports and these surveys every so often, and as I find this information, but realistically, you don't really hear about this out in the mainstream media. You certainly don't hear the administration or Congress talking about this. You don't hear them coming out in a news conference and saying, well, congratulations, we've now made 48 million people fall into poverty here in the United States this year. Yeah, we're very proud. No, you never hear Congress talking about this, and you certainly never hear the administration talking about it. Why? Well, they're aware of it, but do they want to do anything about it? Well, that's still to be known if they actually want to do something, but they're very aware of these numbers just like we are, and that's the thing is we got to bring this out to light. We got to make more people aware of this stuff, and we need to make sure that more Americans are understanding that these are the real percentages. These are the real numbers of Americans that are struggling out there right now with everything going on, and it is not okay. It is not acceptable to see that, 14% of our population, I think that was the percentage that I quoted the other day in the survey that I was talking about. I think it's 14% of our population right now is living in poverty. Is that acceptable? I don't really know what's acceptable. In my mind, that is not acceptable. That is a huge percentage, and something about that seems really bad to me. Just seems totally unfair. But anyway, those are my thoughts, and I wanted to share this survey with you. So again, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below. And again, for those of you who watched that video from earlier, I apologize that this video is not about Social Security. Again, I like to cross-reference everything. I've been having a little bit of difficulty cross-referencing it, but I feel like I'm closing in on some good information. So as I do find that additional information, of course, I'll bring that to you, and I anticipate I'll probably have it tomorrow for you. But again, my dedication is to bring you honest, accurate, reliable, and transparent information every single day in my videos, and if I can't cross-reference it, you better believe I'm not going to talk about it. So anyway, that is my dedication to you and this community. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below, share this video with your friends, family, social media, and feel free to go back and check out any of the other 2,300 plus videos right here on the channel, and of course, share those with your friends, family, social media as well. So again, enjoy your day. Have a nice evening. I hope this one helps you out. I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Feel free to leave your comments and questions down below, and I'll do my best to answer them or make a dedicated video for you if that just needs to be done. So enjoy. I'll catch you again later in the next video.